February 22, 2024, News Report 1. Radio Free Asia reports that the Chinese Border Defense Forces have recently intensified lockdown measures in the border regions of Guangxi and Yunnan. This is aimed at preventing Chinese citizens from illegally crossing into countries such as Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. The deployment is specifically designed to curb the practice of Chinese individuals using the Guangxi and Yunnan borders to illegally migrate to Thailand, with the ultimate goal of reaching the United States or Europe and seeking political asylum. To address this situation, Chinese border defense forces have implemented Hong Kong-style defensive measures, including strengthening patrols in Myanmar and Laos, requiring passports for exit, and ensuring lawful departure through border checkpoints. Currently, the Chinese government is closely monitoring 4 categories of individuals, including legal and historical scholars, human rights lawyers, artists, and NGO members. It is reported that the government has begun restricting the exit of these individuals, affecting an estimated tens of thousands. As these individuals often face difficulties obtaining passports for legal travel, one alternative route is through illegal migration. Simultaneously, foreign countries are also taking preventive measures against Chinese nationals. According to the New York Times, President Biden is considering restrictions on illegal entry and political asylum applications in the United States. Customs data from the U.S. indicates that over 4,000 Chinese individuals were apprehended by border patrols in September of the previous year, marking a 70% increase from the previous August. The first 3 quarters of 2023 saw a significant rise, with 22,000 Chinese individuals illegally entering the U.S., a 13-fold increase year-on-year. Japan has also expressed concerns about Chinese immigration. Japanese House of Representatives member Kitaro Kita criticized the Chinese population's significant purchases of American real estate, leading to soaring housing prices and perceived unfairness to Japanese citizens. Kitaro Kita condemned the Japanese government for inadequate management of business management visas, allowing Chinese individuals to easily immigrate to Japan. Due to the substantial challenge posed by a large influx of Chinese immigrants to Japan's national security, the government is considering implementing restrictive measures. Apart from the United States and Japan, Canada, the UK, and Australia are also tightening immigration and visa policies, limiting the options for Chinese nationals seeking residency in other countries. News Report 2. The Associated Press reports that on February 21, during a fundraising event in San Francisco, U.S. President Biden discussed Russian President Putin, referring to him as a crazy bastard. Biden touched on the issue of climate change, emphasizing the threat it poses to humanity, but criticized Putin for keeping people worried about the possibility of nuclear war. Additionally, Biden criticized former President Trump, accusing him of likening himself to Russian opposition leader Navalny and claiming that Trump has been propagating the idea that the U.S. will become a communist country. Biden alleged that Trump has persecuted him in a manner similar to how Navalny has been treated. In response to Biden's remarks, Kremlin spokesperson Peskov stated that such expressions by the U.S. head of state are unlikely to have a substantial impact on Putin. He pointed out that this was not a public speech but a private statement that happened to be overheard. This response reflects the Russian government's cautious stance towards the statements of the U.S. president and emphasizes the potential limitations of such remarks. News Report 3. The Times reports that Russian opposition leader Navalny allegedly died from a punch to the heart. Officially, it was claimed that Navalny died suddenly while taking a walk, but recent reports suggest he was punched to death in prison. This method is described as a technique commonly used by the former Soviet KGB, where agents are trained to deliver a punch directly to the opponent's heart, leading to a fatal outcome. Human rights activist Ovsyankin stated that the bruises on Navalny's body align with this lethal method. Ovsyankin believes that Russian prisons may have subjected Navalny to prolonged outdoor exposure in cold conditions, reducing his blood circulation to a minimum before delivering the fatal punch. Navalny was transferred from a Moscow prison to the Gidroluglag prison, located 60 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, in late 2023. This prison was once part of the Soviet Gulag system, known for its harsh conditions, extreme winter temperatures, and isolation from the outside world. The UK Foreign Office announced sanctions against 6 managers of the Gidroluglag prison, demanding Russia immediately return Navalny's body to his family to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation. President Biden stated that a new round of sanctions against Russia related to Navalny's death would be announced on February 23. News Report 4. Voice of America reports that a bipartisan delegation led by the chair of the Congressional Strategic Amnesty Committee, Gallagher, visited Taiwan on February 22 and met with President Tsai Ing-wen and the incoming President Lai Ching-te. Gallagher emphasized the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, identifying the attempted invasion of Taiwan by the Chinese Communist Party as the most significant current threat. He stated that the U.S. would firmly stand by Taiwan and work to deepen the Taiwan-U.S. partnership. In response to China's expansion in the Indo-Pacific region, the U.S. will not stand idly by, providing not only military support but also establishing a framework for coordinated economic strategies to resist China's economic coercion. Gallagher also emphasized that support for Taiwan would remain unchanged regardless of the outcome of the U.S. presidential elections. He stated that the U.S. would continue to support Taiwan in strengthening its self-defense capabilities, defending democracy and freedom, and maintaining regional peace. President Tsai thanked the U.S. government and Congress for their support to Taiwan, expressing hope for U.S. assistance in enhancing Taiwan's self-defense capabilities and creating a more favorable environment for mutual investment and trade. In addition, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced on its official website that the U.S. government had formally notified Taiwan of the sale of a $75 million tactical data link upgrade project and related equipment. This military sale includes receivers for the Global Satellite Positioning System, communication equipment, technical services, and logistical support. The sale will upgrade Taiwan's military command and control systems data links, enhance joint operational efficiency, and leverage collaborative forces. It is expected that 200 U.S. government officials and 200 U.S. contractors will visit Taiwan to provide engineering and technical assistance. This marks the 13th military sale to Taiwan since the Biden administration took office, highlighting the high priority the U.S. places on Taiwan's defense needs. News Report 5. China Times reports that on the afternoon of February 22, 3 Chinese vessels were spotted in the waters near Nangan Island in Matsu. 2 Coast Guard vessels were sailing in the east and southwest of Nangan Island, approximately 5.5 nautical miles away. Another surveillance ship from Fujian, with a length of 90 meters, was sailing 5 nautical miles west of Nangan Island. Additionally, Chinese Coast Guard ships have recently been patrolling not only in the waters between Kinmen and Xiamen but also around the Wuqiu Air Islands in the Taiwan Strait on February 20. Wuqiu Air Island is the smallest and least populated administrative area in Taiwan, located 20 kilometers southwest of Kinmen County and 133 kilometers from the main island of Taiwan, known as the Island of Islands, in Taiwan's outlying islands. An analyst from the Chinese Strategic Foresight Association, interviewed by the Central News Agency, stated that the appearance of Chinese law enforcement ships near Taiwan's outlying islands is a minor move aimed at establishing a new status quo in Taiwan's waters to observe the U.S. response. The analyst mentioned that mainland China is applying pressure on the Taiwanese authorities through various actions, seeking to assert dominance and gradually shrink Taiwan's strategic space. This is seen as one of China's geopolitical strategies to maintain its leading position in the Taiwan issue. News Report 6. On February 21, China's National Security Ministry published an article on the WeChat platform titled, "Concealed Confrontation on the 38th Parallel North." The article reviews the history of the Korean War that broke out in June 1950 and claims that before the U.S. Incheon landing in September 1950, China accurately predicted the U.S. landing attempt and provided advance intelligence to North Korea. With the enemy approaching the Yalu River, China was compelled to send troops, engaging in continuous battles supported by concealed tactics. However, on February 22, the South Korean government refuted the Chinese National Security Ministry's article, stating that history cannot change the fact that the invasion of South Korea by North Korea led to the outbreak of the Korean War. The South Korean government emphasized that this historical fact has been internationally recognized and supported, and they will sternly respond based on this foundation. The South Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that they will continue to adhere to this position in the future. Presently, South Korea's stance towards China appears firm, underlining the objectivity of historical facts and expressing an uncompromising position. This demonstrates the South Korean government's steadfast attitude on historical issues. News Report 7. Xinhua News Agency reported that the National Ministry of Social Work held a symposium on February 22. During the symposium, it was announced that as of now, all provinces nationwide have established party committee-led social work departments, and these departments have been established and started to comprehensively fulfill their responsibilities. In February of last year, during the second plenary session of the 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, a restructuring plan was approved, which included the formation of the Social Work Ministry responsible for coordinating petition work, guiding grassroots governance, and grassroots political power construction. The Social Work Ministry integrates functions from various departments, including the National Petition Bureau, the Ministry of Civil Affairs, and the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission. The Central Social Work Ministry completed the formation of its leadership team in July last year, with Wu Hansheng as the minister, and Lu Zhen and Li Wenzhang as deputy ministers. The establishment of the Social Work Ministry signifies strengthened leadership by the CPC in social work. Social work departments in various provinces have also been established, covering various sectors of society. However, some comments have pointed out that historically, the Social Work Ministry used to be an espionage agency, and now its tasks mainly focus on reporting and intelligence gathering to understand social dynamics. This has sparked discussions about the era of espionage governance. News Report 8. According to Reuters, Iran has provided Russia with 400 short-range ballistic missiles with a range of 300 to 700 kilometers. At the end of last year, Iran and Russian officials finalized a missile trade agreement, with missile shipments commencing in early January of this year. Currently, 4 batches of missiles have been delivered to Russia, with more expected to be shipped in the coming weeks. Some of these missiles are transported to Russia via the Hormuz Strait, while others are transported by aircraft. The UN Security Council's restrictions on Iran's missile exports expired in October 2023. However, the EU and the US continue to impose sanctions on Iran, prohibiting it from exporting weapons to Middle Eastern proxies and Russia. This news has triggered discussions about the effectiveness of international sanctions and restrictions on Iran, with some opinions suggesting that these measures have to some extent failed, enabling Iran to engage in missile trade. News Report 9. According to a report released by Bloomberg Intelligence on February 22, as of last year, Hong Kong has 1,336 multinational companies with regional headquarters. In comparison, data from the Singapore Economic Development Board in 2021 showed that Singapore has 4,200 multinational companies with regional headquarters. In other words, the number of multinational companies setting up regional headquarters in Singapore is 3 times that of Hong Kong. The report highlights Singapore's success in attracting multinational companies to establish regional headquarters, including major names like Microsoft, Google, Rolls-Royce, and TikTok. To mitigate geopolitical risks, many Chinese companies also opt to establish regional headquarters in Singapore rather than Hong Kong. This trend indicates a significant success for Singapore in attracting international businesses, while Hong Kong's position in this regard has relatively declined. News Report 10. According to data released by the Hong Kong Census and Statistics Department on February 20, the population of Hong Kong reached 7.5 million by the end of 2023, an increase of 30,000 from the previous year, with a growth rate of 0.4%. However, this data has faced scrutiny from various sources, with reports from Radio Free Asia pointing out that the Hong Kong Statistics Department used a relatively lenient standard in calculating the population. Hong Kong's population is divided into two parts: permanent residents and mobile residents. Permanent residents are those who have resided in Hong Kong for more than 3 months, mostly holding the right of abode. Mobile residents refer to permanent residents who stay in Hong Kong for 1 to 3 months. The data shows that permanent residents in Hong Kong started to decrease from 2019, from 7.36 million to 7.22 million in 2023, a decrease of 130,000. However, mobile residents, after a decline in 2020, began to rise again after the reopening of the Hong Kong mainland border, with an increase of 270,000 in 2023, 120,000 more than in 2019. Reports indicate that mobile residents mainly include Hong Kong people studying abroad and overseas immigrants, who may spend summer holidays or visit relatives in Hong Kong but are not part of the long-term resident population. This calculation method might obscure the fact that the permanent resident population in Hong Kong is actually decreasing. News Report 11. On February 22, the Supreme People's Procuratorate of China announced the arrest of former secretary of the Guizhou Provincial Party Committee, Sun Jigang, whose bribery case investigation has concluded and is ready to be transferred to the procuratorial authorities. Sun Jigang, 69 years old, previously worked in the Health Commission of Hubei and Anhui. He served as the governor of Guizhou in 2015 and became the secretary of the Provincial Party Committee in 2017. He stepped down as deputy head of the National People's Congress Financial and Economic Committee in March 2023, and the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection began investigating him in August. During his tenure in Guizhou, Sun Jigang was responsible for poverty alleviation work and claimed to have solved the issue of absolute poverty in Guizhou, dating back thousands of years, by 2020. However, in recent years, Guizhou's debt problems have significantly increased. By the end of 2022, the total debt amounted to 1.2 trillion yuan. On April 12, 2023, the Guizhou Provincial Government Research Center released a document stating its inability to resolve the issue independently and, in fact, sought assistance from the central government. Sun Jigang's arrest has attracted social attention, and further developments in the case will be determined by the procuratorial authorities. News Report 12. The government of Guangzhou's Nansha district announced that at 5:30 a.m. on February 22, a container ship named Lianghui 688 collided with the Lixinsha Bridge in Guangzhou's Nansha district, causing the bridge deck to fracture. This incident resulted in 5 vehicles falling into the sea, causing 5 fatalities and 2 injuries. The vehicles that fell from the bridge included an empty bus, 3 trucks, and a motorcycle. The bus, motorcycle, and 1 truck fell into the ship's hold, while the other 2 trucks plunged into the river. It was explained that the Lianghui 688 was an empty container ship, and the captain made an operational mistake, leading to a collision with the bridge pier. Following the incident, the Lixinsha Bridge's piers severely tilted, necessitating demolition and reconstruction. The Lixinsha Bridge, completed in 1992, is 800 meters long, 10 meters wide, with 2 lanes in each direction. In July 2000, the bridge underwent maintenance and reinforcement, increasing the weight limit for passing vehicles to 20 tons. In April of the previous year, anti-collision devices were installed on the bridge piers, but the acceptance found that these devices would deform significantly when impacted head-on, requiring further reinforcement. However, the reinforcement project was continually delayed until this bridge collapse incident occurred. News Report 13. Starting from February, the U.S. recruitment website Indeed has been gradually releasing global rankings of the best jobs. Indeed selected the best jobs for this year based on salary and employer demand, taking into account the number of job postings from 2021 to 2024. Let's take a look at this list. Ranking first is the mental health counselor, a highly sought-after profession providing mental health services. Following closely are the credit analyst and psychotherapist, representing positions in the technical and therapeutic categories. Electrical engineers, construction project managers, mechanical engineers, among others, are also listed, and positions unrelated to software engineering are performing well. In the Global Best Jobs list, Canada leads with Senior Tax Manager, Child Protection Worker, and Governance Manager. Governance managers are responsible for formulating policies and procedures, strengthening organizational governance frameworks. Positions like electrical engineers, university vice presidents, and structural engineers are also recognized. In Singapore's Best Jobs list, Public Relations Director, Tax Manager, and Recruitment Manager stand out, showcasing diverse occupational demands. According to the published national lists, job demand in the technology industry is not as strong as before. In the past, tech positions usually dominated the lists, but this year only the data engineer from the United States managed to enter the top 10. This reflects that the global tech industry is facing layoffs and financial issues. According to layoff statistics, from January to November 2021, layoffs in the tech industry reached 240,000, a 50% YoY increase. Major tech companies leading in layoffs include Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook. Since the beginning of this year, the tech industry has seen another 32,000 job losses, including employees from eBay, Google, Microsoft, and other companies. The changes in the tech industry have made programmers and software engineers high-risk occupations, especially noticeable in Silicon Valley's housing and job markets. Caution is advised for those considering careers in the volatile field of programmers and software engineers, particularly in California's Silicon Valley.